Mayor Duggan has changed the scope and the scale really of the executive branch to some degree. I mean, not beyond what the charter allows, but he's doing things that other mayors haven't chosen to do, and expanded departments or added departments to that. What should the next mayor be thinking about in terms of sustaining that from a budget standpoint, but also their own plans to maybe do things differently and come up
Yeah.
with things that city government can be doing that it wasn't doing before?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't, unfortunately, since I myself have now been out of city government now for well over 10
Yeah,
years.
it's
It's
been a
probably
long
closer
time.
to like 12, 13
Yeah,
since I've been gone. So I don't 100% have a handle on certain new departments or new positions that have been created.
yeah,
So I'm not really in a position to speak in detail about how city government has expanded from, say, where it was when I was there. I do know that there are like some positions where I did kind of look at it and like, what? That's weird.
what is that?
Yeah, like I know he created at one point, I don't know if it's still around, like a chief storyteller position.
Yeah,
And
yeah, he
I'm
did.
like, what the hell's that? You know? Another one was that he created a demolition department. Now, previously, the functions of demolition, when you're talking about maybe demolishing vacant houses or even larger buildings, those actually used to be housed in a pre-existing department, which was the Buildings and Safety Engineering
PC,
Department.
yeah,
So did you need to spin that off and maybe make it its own department? I don't know that that needed to be done.
yeah.
It seems to have worked fairly well.
There's a lot of demolition.
So I don't have a big issue or problem with it. But I suppose one could make an argument that if a new mayor's coming in and they want to maybe take a look at producing some efficiencies, maybe some of those departments you look at reconsolidating.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you look at maybe merging certain things and maybe eliminating certain positions that are unnecessary. I would not suggest that any new mayor come in, to look at what's happened in the federal government recently with Elon Musk and Doge. I think it would be a disaster for a new mayor to come in and say, well, we're just going to do across the board cuts and, because we've seen the ripple effect of that
The consequences
on
for it.
everything when
Yeah.
you come in with a chainsaw, literally,
Yeah,
which is what they did
right.
in Washington. We've seen the ripple effect and the damage that can be done when you come in with a chainsaw as opposed to a scalpel. So
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, any new mayor wants to come in, you want to take a look at maybe producing some efficiencies and saving money. By all means, it makes sense, but be very careful about how you do it.
Yeah, but well, you're going to have to deal with drops in revenue for sure, right? The amount of money that came from the federal government over the last 4 to 6 to 8 years is just incredible.
Right.
The money that you can't necessarily count on tax receipts going up indefinitely. I mean, they've gone up a lot,
Right.
but that could plateau or go back down. So
Yeah.
they're going to have to make some tough financial decisions, I
Yeah.
think.
Your point about money coming from the federal government, that's a key one
Yeah.
because we benefited, from
Hugely.
for the past 4 years, we
Yeah.
benefited tremendously from having a president in the White House who was very friendly
Yes.
to cities like Detroit.
Yeah.
You had programs like the IRA
Hmm.
and other federal funding programs. The future of those programs is now in doubt.
Right.
I mean, the federal government, to my knowledge, is still not quite finalized what they want to do with the IRA
Right.
and some of these other programs. But the latest thing that I'm hearing is that some of these programs where like the funding was going to be in place to 2032, that sunset date is probably going to be moved up to
Moved
maybe
up.
2028.
Yeah.
I've even heard talk of if certain dollars have not already been expended or if they're not already encumbered, that there's talk of maybe clawing back and
Hmm.
taking that money.
Yeah.
So, and it's frustrating because here we are now, we're almost 6 months into this administration, but a lot of these questions still haven't been answered. So it goes back to your point, which is that we can't rely on the White House or Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
For federal largesse anymore. It's not going to happen. It's looking pretty clear that it's probably going to come down to, I think, current council president Mary Sheffield and Pastor Solomon Kinloch.
Yeah. You feel like those are the two.
I think those are going to be the two. Because, I mean, Kinloch is coming on strong. He's
He's
built.
moved way up in the polls.
He's
Not that
moved.
we get a lot of them, but
He's moved way up in the polls. And just kind of looking at, his congregation is massive. He says it's 40,000. Maybe those numbers are exaggerated, but let's say it's just half that.
yeah,
Say it's 20,000. If every single one of those people
yeah,
that's a member of his congregation lives in the city of Detroit,
yeah. A lot of
votes
them
for
live
him.
outside the city.
Yeah, a lot of them do. I
But,
mean, that's kind of true of
but
most churches
yeah,
these days.
that's right, right.
Um,
But he's got members who are voters, no
right,
question.
right. And more importantly, if those people not only vote for him, but if they also remember that old shampoo commercial from when we were kids, I told two friends and they told two friends and so on and so on. So if
Yeah,
they're out there doing that,
yeah.
it's kind of hard to
Hard to
envision a scenario where he does not make the primary
yeah.
along with Council President Sheffield. So that's my prediction is it's probably going to come
Yeah.
down to those two. And I think it's depending on where they finish,
Yeah,
it could be a real fight.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well.